Hello there. Are you sure you're in the right place? See the name on the door? This podcast is Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. Surely you don't want to come in here. You do. Well, I must warn you that things are pretty adult in here. Absolutely no children are allowed. Obscene language, shocking and horrendous stories to chill you to your core, and terrifying tales that'll keep you up at night. The ladies inside aren't quite right. Lovely and hilarious, but very strange. Still want in, do you? Well, you'll get what you're here for. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Spine Chillers and Serial Killers. I'm Emma.
I'm Becky. I'm Tash. I forgot we were recording for this. Oh, do you want to do that again? Are you alright? Because I forgot.
No, it's fine.
It's got to be authentic.
It's got to be real. It's literally because before I did my little intro, we were talking about anal, and Becky.
Hold on. We weren't talking about it. We just said we wouldn't do it.
We weren't, yeah. And then Becky said, except on birthdays.
Yeah, but it was just for like a comedic gesture. It was for comedy. Oh, God. I'm all flustered.
You're all flustered.
It's her birthday, that's why. Comedy genius.
You're right, lovely ladies.
Very well, thank you. Yes. How are you?
Marvellous. Actually,
go on.
I've had a stressful day because I got lost.
Oh no, where? Well, are you still lost though?
No, it's alright, I'm home. Okay. I know where I am.
Good.
But basically there were roadworks and the GPS hadn't taken account the roadworks that were blocking.
I hate that.
It was blocking an entire village that I needed to go through. So it was sending me all different directions, and I eventually just got lost because it kept sending me back to the village that I couldn't fucking go through.
Oh, yeah.
So that was really
Didn't you just
stressful.
try and go through it?
No, it was blocked. It, literally blocked.
But what about the people that live there?
I don't know. They're fucked. I don't know. Because people were turning round and I was asking them, can I get through? And they were like, no, you can't get through. You have to turn around. And I had a lorry driver behind me who came to see me and said, can you get through? And I was like, apparently not. And he was not a happy lorry driver.
I wouldn't be a happy lorry driver.
That ruined that lorry driver's day, that did.
He was fucking fuming, he was.
I don't know what the signs say in France, but in England they'll say like road closed apart from access. And I think, yeah, I want access. I'll just go through.
Yes, I mean, fair point. This just said road blocked. So, yeah, I got lost. I was 15 kilometres away from where I should have been, and I had no petrol.
Oh, that's the worst.
I was just getting a little bit stressed, and then Ben's like, you've got GPS, LOL. I was like, fuck you!
Had you just forgotten that you had GPS, or...?
No, the GPS wasn't taken into account, the roadblock.
You already said that, sorry. Looks like I'm lost too.
But the positive thing about that is that while I was lost in the middle of the French rural countryside, on a road with nobody else on, I found a hamlet called Chatmou.
Floppy pussy.
Floppy pussy. Chatmou.
What's a floppy Oh, God.
Oh, it was a baggy pussy.
That would be like when I was told to Google blue waffle.
Oh, I remember that. That was great.
That was at your pub that we got told to do that.
Well,
we traumatised.
Just degenerates, really.
But I wasn't.
But I wasn't.
Yeah, but I wasn't, was I?
No, you weren't, but look how the tables have turned.
Oh, I've had a lot of trauma since then.
Oh, right. So yeah, Shatmu, that made my day. And
who named that?
Imagine living there. Like, you've got to give people your address.
He was like, where do you live? Shatmu.
Shatmu. Some listeners got in touch. You remember the joke, boobies?
Yeah.
Yes.
So a listener called Abby got in touch, and she admitted that I had her fully going. Even when I'd said boobies, she was like, oh, is she just being silly? But it is an actual thing. Like, she was still convinced that we were going to get bee milk. But she then sent me, and another listener sent this as well. So 2 people sent me the fact that scientists have discovered that cockroach milk is more nutritious than cow milk.
That feels like a lie as well.
No, it's not a joke.
But do cockroaches have, like, diseases and stuff?
I don't think they have diseases, do they?
The big ones in America carry diseases. Yeah.
I think they just smell, don't they?
Do cockroaches smell?
Yeah,
Oh,
apparently they
yeah.
really stink.
What do they smell of?
Just gross.
They smell of poo.
Well, their poo smells, apparently. They smell of poo, and I don't like them.
God, you're really attacking the old cockroaches. Milk is 4 times more nutritious than cow milk. There you go.
I'm shaking my head.
Yeah, it's not,
I'm not
for
liking
me,
it.
But yeah, but aren't like crickets really like
Nutritious.
really, really high in protein? Like they're really nutritious, aren't they?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never
Yeah.
eaten one.
I've eaten a cricket before. It just tastes pasty.
Pasty.
Yeah.
You're not selling it.
It's like crunchy, but like pasty.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. The one that I had was chili flavour.
Chili flavoured cricket. Nice.
yeah.
Oh, I
That's
saw
not
I could get insect dog treats. I didn't, but I could have done.
They sound expensive. Well, get them and eat one. And you'd be like, oh, it tastes pasty. Becky was right.
Well, I think eating insects would go against my
Oh, yeah, no,
no
you can't
meat
do that,
diet.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah, but do you think insects are an animal? Because when people say an animal, they'll go, oh, say an animal, and then you'll say cricket, and they'll be like, that's not an animal, that's an insect.
It's a... Yeah, I mean...
Animal's the umbrella term.
Yeah.
Then you've got mammals, insects, like amphibians.
reptiles.
I don't... It's such a hard call because I know I'm going to get the people going, yeah, but plants are alive and they don't want to die, which really...
but you have to eat some of that.
I mean, it winds me up because I'm like, you can't compare a cow to a plant, right? I
You
mean...
can't compare a cow to a carrot. I mean, come on.
So... I think insects are more sentient than a plant, but less sentient than a cow. So I'd probably still give it a miss.
Do you eat fish?
No.
What's sentient mean?
Like aware of itself.
Aware, yeah. Like, I'm alive, I don't want to die. You know?
Yeah. That's why everyone used to just chuck crabs and lobsters in hot water, whereas they tend to put them in the freezer now so that they go to sleep fast.
Yeah, because they're sentient. They are aware that they're being
sentient,
boiled
but
alive.
they kept saying that they're not, just because we can't hear them being like, ah.
Sorry, have you seen like ants and the colonies they make? Like they're well clever.
They are. And strong.
So strong. Sexy ants.
Sexy damn ants.
So clever and so strong.
I bet they are the hotties of the insect kingdom.
Oh, they've got to be.
Oh. I can see Tasha bent over on her patio, be like, "You're so strong."
I wondered where that was going when she was like, I could see Tash bent over. Massive
waiting for the
ant behind her.
She's not wrong. It's their birthday every day.
Well, she's either catcalling the ants or suckling on a tot cockroach. Oh, does that mean cockroaches have nipples?
I don't know. I don't like it.
I don't want to hear any more about animal milk. Can we stop talking about it? Can this be the last episode we talk about animal milk?
Yeah, no more.
Okay.
No more.
Unless it's
animal milk.
hippos because it's pink.
Or rabbits, because what was rabbit milk? It was thick.
What?
What was it? Becky.
Yeah,
Was it
apparently
thick?
it was like a thick paste. The word paste is coming back.
So Becky,
Yeah, apparently it was like
I think we need to
cheese.
buy Becky a thesaurus because she only knows the word thick.
The word paste. Paste.
Paste.
Right.
You look pretty pasty today.
Anyway, let's get back to it.
Yeah.
I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Anything you guys want
Have
to
you
cover?
had much success with the stickers?
Your baby sister bought some stickers.
I know she did.
Another listener bought some stickers from America, so I doubt he's got them yet. So that's that. And then another listener who ordered them and got them said she was really happy with them. So yeah.
Oh,
Yay!
yeah.
And I've got some more materials coming. I'm going to start making little pocket mirrors and
Cute.
magnetic bookmarks as well. So there will.
Perfect. So cute.
So basically, my Etsy shop is everything's going to be a bit spooky because that's just I'm a spooky person. But some of it will maybe have the podcast logo on. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's doing all right.
Yeah. Brill.
Perfect.
Perfect. I downloaded Etsy, but that's how far I've got with it. So I'll eventually create a profile and follow you.
I have made your badge, Tash.
Me?
Yeah, the
Me?
cucumber badge. Shall I show it to you?
Yeah. I can't wait to wear that wherever I go. That's hilarious. Cucumber, the housewife's favourite.
Yummy, yum, yum.
So yeah, it's a proper little pin badge.
I can't wait. I'm gonna pin that to my work bag. My work bag. That's appropriate, isn't it?
You said that you've got them in magnets as well, or is it just badges for those?
Oh, I can do anything. I can make a sticker or a badge. I can do anything.
I could do anything, baby.
Do you want a magnet
I'd like a fridge magnet.
of that?
Yeah.
All right, sorted.
And then I can put it in front of my cucumbers. And I kind of just want to. I want to somehow put it at work somewhere.
I'm going to have it on my work bag. It's going to be with me every day at work.
I'll do you both a little care parcel full of goodies. All right.
Oh.
I love that.
I'll put a photo up on Facebook so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And if you want this in my Etsy shop, let me know, and I shall stock it.
Oh, look at the little packet that it comes along with. Look at it.
I
With a little packet. Sorry, I got really excited about the packet.
I'm sorry for who I am, Mum. I'm really sorry.
Don't
It's
be
so funny.
Right, shall we get into some stuff that's less funny because Becky's got to start?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
My cucumber's back in the fridge and I'm ready.
Oh God, I wonder what you're going to say where your cucumber was. Oh,
The
dear
cucumber
me.
is safe and sound.
I swear, my mind is so filthy. I know it works with you guys, but I've got a friend who I talk to, and she sent me this cute image of a little mouse. It's got a really long, pointy nose, and she was like, "How adorable is this?" She's really funny. She's a lovely lady, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's really cute." And then I was like, "His nose looks like a dick, though." And then, you suddenly remember, oh God, this isn't Becky and Tash.
Wrong people.
Shit. And she was like, I have to say, I didn't notice that, but now mention it.
Oh, God.
Oh, she listens to the podcast, so if she gets to this episode,
Bless her.
Karen, you'll just have to
Hey,
forgive
Kaz.
me. It's their fault that I'm the way I am.
No. We established earlier that I wasn't like this before.
To be fair, you got like this when you went to England. Now to do with me.
Trauma.
Let's say it all together. Trauma.
Makes us
Yeah.
funny.
It does, actually.
It does.
Right, speaking of a bit of trauma, but not the funny kind, Becky Boo.
Rebecca.
So, the Caffey family, they appeared to have it all. Faith, music, and a tight-knit bond. They were devout Christians, deeply involved in the Miracle of Faith Baptist Church in the small town of Alba, Texas. Terry Caffey was a youth pastor. His wife, Penny, played piano for the congregation. Their children, Erin, Matthew, and Tyler, had been homeschooled for 3 years, following a strict Bible-based curriculum. Erin was diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, or ADD, and just recently returned to public school, which was called Rains High. So this happened weeks before their whole life would change. Music was woven into the fabric of their lives. Erin sang in a church choir, while her younger brothers played instruments. Matthew on harmonica, Tyler on guitar, and on the surface they were a picture-perfect family. But that illusion shattered when Erin met Charlie Wilkinson. Chazza was not a good boy. The two crossed paths. I should really just read this out loud before I actually read it, because I'm like,
To be fair, paths is hard. Paths.
Yeah.
That's because you're saying it wrong. It's paths.
There's no R in it, babes.
There's no R.
I'll try that though, because that'll be easy. The two crossed paths was easier. While Erin was working part-time at a Sonic fast food restaurant, their relationship escalated quickly, as it does when you're a teenager. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie was smitten, even giving Erin a promise ring that once belonged to his grandmother. He made it clear he wanted to marry her. But not everyone was convinced.
I'm not convinced.
Nah. Terry Caffey had a bad feeling about Charlie from the very start. Something about him just didn't sit right. And as it turns out, Terry's instincts were dead on. It wasn't long before Erin started slipping. Her grades, her attitude, and even her once unwavering devotion to her family. Concerned, her parents did what any worried parents might do. They took to the internet to learn more about the boy who had captured their daughter's attention, and what they found sent alarm bells ringing. Charlie Wilkinson's MySpace page, so we can tell where we are in time.
Yeah.
Around,
I love MySpace.
2005? 6? Yeah.
Did you guys have a MySpace?
I did, yeah. I tried to find it. I tried to find it the other day, but I must have deleted it, and I couldn't even find it on the Wayback Machine.
On the what?
The Wayback Machine.
The fuck is that?
You can find deleted internet pages on it.
You looked proper disgusted. The fuck
I didn't know the Wayback Machine would insult your ancestors in such a way that you would rip my head off like that.
I actually don't know.
You're acting a bit pasty.
What was the song you had on your MySpace? Do you remember you could have a song on the page?
It was definitely some sort of emo song. I think it might have been Helena by My Chemical Romance. Or
I don't know that one.
I have no idea.
And I also had apple bottom jeans, boots with the burr. The whole club is looking at her. I'm sure I must have had that on there at some point. I don't know when that came out.
What about you, Tash?
No idea.
Oh. I had You Spin Me Right Round, Baby.
Oh,
I love that song.
I might have had like Jason Derulo.
Yeah.
No idea though.
MySpace. Anyway,
I don't even know what my name was on it.
I think mine was something really weird, like Hot Kitten or something.
Becky's would have been La French Babe.
Oh, yeah, I think it was La French Babe.
Oh, that was my email address.
I know.
No, it must have been.
Don't remember mine. Remember yours though.
Oh dear. Oh, on MSN Messenger.
Cringe.
So old. Anyway, so
just following on from MySpace, I saw a meme yesterday that told us, you know, when we celebrate our birthday, so I've just turned 34, but that's the end of being 34. So I'm now entering my 35th year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why isn't your mind blown?
Because I kind of knew that.
I heard that before.
Also, I realised yesterday I'm in my mid-30s. That is something else.
I realised a few weeks ago I'm now considered middle-aged.
Yeah, but I must be as well, because...
No, you're not.
No,
you're not.
it's after you're
from
40, I think.
What,
Yeah.
are they saying that everyone lives till they're, like, 80 then?
Well, yeah.
Usually,
I mean, that's
yeah.
it. Usually
What's
it's
life
around then.
expectancy?
I've no idea, babe. But I've got half of it's gone. I've done it. I'm at the middle. It's only downhill from
God.
now on.
Unless she
God.
lived to 100, which should be cool.
It would be
God.
cool. I am living
Yeah.
to
Would
100.
it?
But now that you are middle-aged, you could have a mental breakdown. It'd like be okay because we expect that.
I have that every single day anyway.
Yeah,
to
I've
be
had
fair.
so many mental breakdowns. It's
I've had
not
about
fair.
five today, to be fair.
Aw,
One was
I
in
meant
the
it'd
car until I saw floppy pussy. That cheered me up.
Floppy pussies cheer lots of people up.
Bit of floppy pussy make anyone's day. Anyway, so Charlie Wilkinson's MySpace page was a red flag in itself, filled with sexual innuendos, talk of drinking, and a persona that was anything but the wholesome young man that Erin had described to her parents. So she was like, oh yes, he's this and he's that. But no, they found out the truth. The Caffeys had seen enough. And in February 2008, when Erin broke her strict phone curfew, they made a firm decision. She had to end things with Charlie. They weren't about to let their daughter's life spiral any further. But while her parents believed that they were protecting Erin, she saw things differently. She didn't just want to be with Charlie, she was convinced there was forever. And so she started to think of a way that she could make that happen. So that same month, in front of her friends, Erin began talking about a chilling idea. Murder.
Erin?
Yeah, murder. Murder.
I wondered, do you know, I thought her name sounded familiar. Carry on.
Yeah, this is quite a well-known one. A little bit more well-known than my usuals. So Erin had made her choice. She wasn't going to run away. She wanted her family gone. And so, with her boyfriend, Charlie Wilkinson, and his friend, Charles Wade, she put the plan in motion. To this day, accounts differ on what really happened, but this was kind of the gist of it. One night, Wilkinson and Wade pulled into the driveway of the Caffey home. Inside the car, Erin sat waiting alongside Wade's girlfriend. She wouldn't witness her family's slaughter firsthand. She didn't want to see it, but she knew exactly what was about to happen. Just before Wilkinson stepped inside, he turned to Erin with a chilling question about her little brothers. And Erin's response was, there could be no witnesses. She said it
Oh my God.
in a very cold and final way. She said, this is a quote, I don't care, just do what you got to do. To her little baby
Fucking
brothers.
hell.
Well, they weren't babies, but younger brothers. Once inside, Wilkinson crept into the master bedroom where Terry and Penny slept soundly. He raised his .22 pistol and opened fire. Terry took multiple bullets, unable to move, unable to scream, forced to watch his wife, Penny, die beside him. But the gun then jammed. That was when Wade pulled out a samurai-style sword and finished the job on Penny, nearly decapitating her in the process.
Oh my God.
Then they moved upstairs.
This is horrendous.
Terry could hear his son Matthew's desperate, terrified voice from the bedroom above.
Oh.
No, Charlie. No. Why are you doing this? But there was no mercy that night. No second chances. The killers had come to erase the Caffey family from existence. As Terry Caffey was drifting in and out of consciousness, caught somewhere between life and death, was when he heard it, the final moments of his sons. 8-year-old Tyler never stood a chance. A single bullet to the head ended his life instantly. But poor 13-year-old Matthew, his death was much slower because he got killed with the sword.
Oh my God.
The articles went into a lot more detail on it, but I think I'll spare you it because it was horrible. Apparently his cries were echoing through the house and the dad just couldn't do anything about it because he couldn't move.
It's just, I can't,
horrific.
There's no words. It was horrendous.
With the Caffey family seemingly erased, the killers took their time. They ransacked the home, grabbing valuables. Wilkinson had promised Wade $2,000 for his part in the slaughter, but their real reward, the fire. They drenched their furniture in lighter fluid and struck a match, watching as the inferno devoured the evidence. But Terry Caffey was still not dead. He was still in the house.
Oh my God.
Somehow he managed to claw his way back to consciousness, and his body was riddled with bullets, but he'd managed to, the adrenaline started pumping again, and he was able to move a bit more. And as he could see that his home was collapsing in flames around him, every movement sent fresh waves of agony through him. But he moved anyway. Inch by inch, he dragged himself through shattered glass and out of the window, and into the freezing night. He had only one thought. He needed to survive. It took him an hour to crawl 400 yards to his nearest neighbour's house. When they opened the door, they recoiled in horror. Blood covered every inch of him, seeping from wounds too numerous to count. And he didn't know where his daughter was. He thought he didn't know where she was, if she was going to come home, if she'd already been killed. He didn't know what was going on. When the authorities arrived and asked where he was bleeding from, the neighbour's voice was grim. Where wasn't he bleeding from? He was bleeding from everywhere. Terry was rushed into emergency surgery. He shouldn't have survived, but he did. And when he could finally speak again, he gave the name of the monster who had done this, Charlie Wilkinson. Within hours, police had Wilkinson in custody, but there was something else, something they weren't expecting. Erin Caffey was there too. She looked stunned and distant when police questioned her. She told them exactly what they wanted to hear. "I was kidnapped," she said.
Little shit.
Yeah, lying bitch.
Yeah.
But I think I'd play it that way too.
It was easier than saying, actually, yeah, I was the mastermind behind the murder of, my entire family. That's a little bit harder to admit.
Yeah.
But Erin's story unravelled within hours. It just had too many holes in her story, and by the next day, all 4 suspects, Erin, Charlie Wilkinson, Charles Wade, and Wade's girlfriend, were in police custody. Wilkinson and Wade pointed the finger directly at Erin. It was her plan, they said. She wanted her family dead, but Erin refused to admit it. To her grandparents, she wept, insisting she had no part in the murders. Justice, however, saw it differently. Wilkinson and Wade was sentenced to life without parole, and Erin too was given life, but with the possibility of parole after 40 years. So I don't agree with that whatsoever. Normally the mastermind gets more.
She's just as guilty.
Yeah. Well, normally the one that is behind it all gets more than the ones doing most of it. I think it's probably because she didn't actually participate. So Charles Wade has since expressed remorse for what happened that night. But for Terry Caffey, remorse wasn't enough to erase the nightmare that had become his reality. In the aftermath of the massacre, he was so consumed by grief, and it was so deep, so unbearable, that he contemplated ending his own life. He had lost everything. His wife, his sons, his home, and even his daughter. She was the reason it had all happened. Terry didn't know how to go on, but in his darkest moment, he turned to the only thing he had left, which was his faith. He returned alone to the ruins of his home, walking through the place where his family had been slaughtered, and he stood beneath the sky, looking up, and his voice breaking as he called out, "God, Why didn't you take me? Why did you take my family? I need an answer. Not next week, not next month. I need it now. And then something caught his eye. A single piece of paper stuck to a tree. And he stepped closer, his heart pounding. It read the words scrawled across it. You're sovereign. You're in control. Terry took this as a sign, a message and a reason to go on. And in that moment, he made a decision few could never comprehend. Because Wilkinson and Wade were up for the death penalty. So Terry actually intervened and asked that their lives be spared and just get life in prison rather than be put to death. So even after he lost everything, he still chose forgiveness. He didn't want any more death happening.
Wow.
A lot of us, if our entire family was killed, you'd want those people to be erased as well.
Yeah.
But no. And what about Erin? So she still denies it. She tells her father she never wanted her family to die, and she tried to run away, but that she had no control over what happened that night. And Terry believes his daughter.
Oh,
So she's still in prison at the minute. Well, everyone's still in prison. And I don't know if Terry goes to visit her a lot. But she was on, I think, Piers Morgan's.
Yes,
on
that's
Netflix.
where I know it from.
Yeah. I think she's on like the first episode of Women Who Kill. Yeah. And she looks quite normal.
Yeah, well, she ain't. She's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah.
That poor
no,
man.
I don't think she should have got parole. I think it should be without parole. I don't care how young she was. You don't murder your whole family just because they don't like your boyfriend.
No.
I mean,
Your
all she had to
baby
do was
brothers.
wait a couple more years and she could have just left home anyway. I know you don't see it that when you're a teenager and you want
It
everything
was
now.
all for nothing, because she ain't with him now, is she?
No.
Oh.
I just don't think... I mean, it shows how they didn't think it through. What were they going to say? Obviously, the police were going to come and see her. Was she just going to go home and be like, oh, my house isn't there anymore. What's happened? Ah.
It's horrendous. Those poor little boys and the dad hearing everything. Oh, my God.
Oh, horrific.
I don't know how you go on from that. I really don't.
No.
And
I think if he didn't have his faith, he wouldn't be here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Bex.
I like your every single time you're like, oh, well, now I'm depressed, but thank you anyway.
Cherry story as always.
Well, it is true crime and it is fascinating, but sometimes it's so... The details are so...
Oh, that got a lot
hard.
more horrific. I left a lot out because I don't really want to hear about kids being murdered in such a horrific way.
No,
Yeah.
that's going to stick with me. I think a bit like the, was it Alison Botha?
I can't remember.
The one that had her head nearly chopped off and she had to
yeah.
grab it and put it on right.
I think
Ooh,
about her
while
every now and
holding-
again. Yeah.
While holding her guts in. Yeah. Poor
Horrific.
girl. Anyway, right. Okay, my turn. Guys, this story is just so weird, and the book is like, you know when you get an instruction manual that was obviously in Chinese and they've translated it into English, but it's just so random.
Yeah.
And you kind of understand it, but also it's like, what the fuck is going on? This is what reading this book is like. It's all in old-timey English, and yeah, it's like swimming through custard. And this isn't even the end, there is going to be a fourth part. So, strap in.
Oh, yeah. I'm still thinking about swimming in custard and how that could be quite nice if it was warm.
It'd be very difficult,
I
though.
don't think it would. You'd get paid a lot of money for doing that, Becky.
Would I? I wouldn't like it when I got out. I think swimming in it'd be fine, but it'd feel horrible when you get
Oh, I
out.
don't think it would, but... Oh, let's move on.
I think it'd feel nice between your toes.
Again, get
Emma's
on
stuck on her
OnlyFans,
toes
make
at the
yourself
minute.
that money.
Okay, so we're back to Ken and Debbie.
Oh, yeah.
So, when we left off last week, if I remember, Debbie was dreaming about seeing Lucas, and then Lucas was writing like love letters on the computer. So it was quite obvious that she was experiencing actually seeing him. So it wasn't a hoax, basically. I do need to correct one thing. Last week I said this went on over a couple of months, and it actually went on over a couple of years.
Right.
Oh, wait.
And I think in total there was something mad, like 450 messages sent, received. So obviously I'm not going to cover every single one.
You're not.
No, I'm not, because we'd be like, oh, it's part 35 of...
Yeah.
And on today's episode of What the Ghost Wrote...
That's a good name of a podcast. What the Ghost Wrote. Why'd you say it like that?
Oh, gosh. Anyway, go on, Em.
So, Ken and Debbie are now completely baffled by the ongoing phenomena.
We all are.
Everybody is. Ken, everybody who reads the book is baffled. So they decide to seek outside help, and they make contact with the Society for Psychical Research, called SPR, and speak to a man named John Stiles. So Stiles listens carefully to their story, and while he remains open-minded, it's clear that he's highly sceptical. And who could blame him, because the whole thing sounds utterly insane. So, before sending anyone out to investigate, Stiles insists they must rule out all logical explanations. So the first thing he suggests is that they completely secure the house, locking and bolting every single door and window to eliminate the possibility of an intruder. Ken and Debbie follow his advice to the letter, ensuring that the house is completely sealed from any external interference. The next step is to prove that neither of them is responsible for the messages, either consciously or unconsciously. Stiles tells them that they need witnesses to be present when a message appears, so that they can be absolutely sure neither Ken nor Debbie is sneaking off to type them. So they get Debbie's mum and brother around.
Oh. The whole family are involved now.
Yep. To
Debbie's
watch them.
mum.
The group sits together in the living room, Debbie remaining in full view the entire time, while Ken is actually out of the house. So Ken has left, he's gone for a drive. And they wait. And then, just as they had hoped and feared, the computer screen fills with a new message. Debbie never left her seat. Ken wasn't even there. With witnesses present, the hoax theory was now significantly weakened.
Mm-hmm.
On Friday, the 19th of April, Ken once again borrowed a word processor from school. Now, this is important because I don't know if I've mentioned this. It's never the same word processor. I mean, yes, he probably has used the same one repeatedly, but never on purpose. He just goes and picks up a word processor from school. So say if they've got 10, then he never knows which one he's going to be getting. So if you're looking at some advanced type of hacking that maybe could have been possible, it would be extremely complicated to never know which computer he was taking.
Yeah.
So eager to hear from Lucas and his mysterious friend. Oh yes, because Lucas has got his mate round, hasn't he? I forgot that.
What was his name?
He didn't want to give his name, did he? Because just like Lucas had given a fake name, his friend said, I don't want to give you my real name either.
Okay.
As usual, Ken set up a greeting on the screen before heading out to Tesco with Debbie.
Love Tesco's.
Tesco's. Let's all go to Tesco's where Debs buys her best clothes. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. If you live in England, you'll know that song. It works with every name.
Okay.
Tesco, if you want to sponsor our podcast, please get in touch.
Oh, I actually really love your clothes. I buy a lot of them.
Yeah. Tasha has a club card.
Is it F&F?
Yeah, it is F&F. And I always go
it's
when they have 25% off. Ah, what a touch.
Tesco, just send us a message, eh?
Yeah, get in there, Tesco. Think of all the extra custom you will get.
When they returned, he found a message waiting for him, but this wasn't like the others. As he read the words, his stomach dropped. Ooh. You are a foolish scoundrel who has brought nothing less than evil upon the wretch. I hope he comes to no harm, for I guarantee your death by my own hand some way. It was not to be avoided with your charm of lights, and now he sits in the shameful dungeon. It will be your own ruin. Unless you help Lucas, he will die. If you reveal yourselves to the crown for what you are, and display your devilish powers, then his life is saved. Reveal the truth, and give no false threats, and explain what is necessary. Computer. Friend. Just signed Friend.
Friend.
Computer. Friend.
The tone was accusatory, threatening, and desperate all at once. Whoever or whatever was writing this blamed Ken for Lucas's imprisonment, so Lucas has been carried off. They saw his use of the computer, the box of light, as something unnatural, something that had drawn the authorities' attention, and now Lucas sat in a dungeon awaiting a grim fate. The message was clear: unless Ken did something to help, Lucas would die. The only way to save him, according to this unknown friend, was to reveal themselves to the crown and prove their devilish powers. But what did that even mean? How was Ken supposed to prove anything to a court in 1521?
Time travel.
Well, this is what's happening, isn't it?
It's like that book. Is it The Lake House? It was a book and then it was a film.
Keanu Reeves and No, it wasn't Sandra Bullock, was it?
Yeah. Or was it
The
Sandra
Post
Bullock
Box.
or was it the other one? Julia Roberts. One of them.
I think it's Sandra Bullock.
Yeah, she did Speed with him, though, didn't she? Did she do that?
I'd not like to make that kind of allegation.
The film!
Ha!
Anyway.
I'm on fire today.
But it is like that.
Have they watched this film?
This is in 1980-something, so no.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about Keanu Reeves. Have they watched us? Obviously they have.
Sandra's a big fan.
Yeah.
Sorry, we confused you with Julia Roberts. Oh. Everyone does.
Ken and Debbie knew that some of Lucas's close companions had already warned him about the dangers of what he was doing. Do you remember the cook who was like, "Ooh, it's not going to end well for you, Lucas. All this typing on light boxes and stuff." To those around him, it must have looked exactly like witchcraft, and in the 1500s, that was the kind of accusation that could get you burnt at the stake, whether it was with wet or dry wood.
Yeah. A little bit witchy.
I can't remember which one it was now.
Well, it's dry wood that you want. You don't want wet wood.
Yeah, you don't want wet because you're steam.
Because we were like, the steam!
Wouldn't the steam kill you faster?
No. It would burn the wood
It'd
slower.
Sizzle you to death. You'd steam to death.
Oh, we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Have you had a
dry
steam
wood.
burn before? Way more painful than anything.
Now the worst had happened. News had reached the sheriff and Lucas had been imprisoned. But what could Ken and Debbie possibly do to help from 1985? The idea was ridiculous. How could they change the fate of a man who had lived over 400 years ago? In desperation, Ken typed out a message to the stranger, the one who had threatened him. He begged him to bring the sheriff to Lucas's house to let him speak to him through the computer. If the sheriff could see with his own eyes that this wasn't some trick or demonic work, maybe Lucas would be freed. Ken also demanded something else, Lucas's real name. After all, if they had no historical record of him, how could they help? How could they prove he even existed, if his identity remained a mystery? The reply came swiftly, but it wasn't what they had hoped for. The stranger refused to reveal Lucas's true name. He still believed Ken and Debbie were demons, or at the very least some dark force interfering with the natural order of things. But he did agree to one thing. He had spoken to the sheriff, and the sheriff would come to Lucas's home to see the box of lights for himself. Desperate to find a way to help Lucas, Ken and Debbie turned to Peter. Does everybody remember Peter?
Peter, Pepper. Yeah.
Peter, the English teacher.
Peter, the English teacher.
Peter,
yes.
Pumpkin Eater. Yeah.
So he's all like into history and history of language and stuff like that. So they turned to Peter for advice. If there was anything they could do from 1985, Peter was the best person to figure it out. And after thinking it over, he did come up with a plan. One that was risky, but possibly their only chance. They already knew the sheriff's name from previous messages, which meant that they had a small advantage. If they could offer him something valuable, maybe they could strike a deal. Peter began researching notable figures from 1521, looking for someone who would be well known at the time, someone whose fate might be of interest to the authorities. That's when he found a bishop who had been accused of treason against the king. So if this sheriff was looking to gain favour with Henry VIII, delivering the name of a traitor could earn him some serious brownie points. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So that became the plan. Ken and Debbie would offer the sheriff this information in exchange for Lucas's release. If the sheriff was convinced that they had access to knowledge beyond this time, he might be willing to let Lucas go rather than risk angering whatever force was feeding them this intelligence. To their surprise, Lucas began speaking to them again. He'd been released from prison, but he was now under house arrest. So they didn't even have to do the deal thing. All of a sudden, Lucas is back home.
Okay.
But he's got guards stationed at his door. Any hope he'd have of escaping this nightmare had vanished. He seemed utterly defeated, resigned to his fate. He told Ken and Debbie that he was still going to stand trial for witchcraft, and that there was no way out. They told him the information about the bishop, their last desperate attempt to sway the sheriff, but it was no use. Lucas was still going to court, and the sheriff could no longer protect him. He knew what that meant. He knew he was going to die. But then, in what seemed like a casual remark, Lucas said something that changed everything. Ken and Debbie had been talking about their time, about how they were from 1985, when Lucas suddenly reacted with confusion. He told them he'd always assumed they were from 2109, just like their friend, the one who had given him the light box.
Ooh, 2109.
Ken and Debbie froze. Who on earth was this? Lucas wasn't just talking to them. He had another correspondent, someone, or something, from 2109 had also been communicating with him. Not only that, but they had apparently given him the light box, the very thing that allowed these messages to happen in the first place. Everything they thought they knew about the situation shifted in an instant. They weren't just dealing with a ghost, a time slip, or a hoax. There was another force at play, one from a future they hadn't even considered. Ken did something impulsive, something that seemed almost ridiculous at the time. He typed onto the screen, calling 2109. And to their absolute shock, he received a reply. Ken, Deb, Peter, we are sorry that we can only give you two choices. 1. That you either have your predicament explained in such a non-rhyme way that you may have instant understanding, but cause what should not be to happen. Or 2. Try to understand that you three have a purpose that shall in your lifetime change the face of history. We, 2109, must not affect your thoughts directly, but give you some sort of guidance that will allow room for your own destiny. All we can say is that we are all part of the same God, whatever it is. So that's a bit creepy. The message from 2109 appeared, but its spelling was horrendous, full of strange errors and jumbled words. Ken stared at it in frustration. This had to be a hoax. How could anyone take this seriously? People who couldn't even spell properly were suddenly talking about destiny and God. It all felt ridiculous.
I said it's almost if they were just talking in, you know how when we send messages quickly and we kind of shorten the words, maybe they were just doing that. Just a really future way of speaking.
Maybe. Something held him back from dismissing it entirely. Lucas had felt real. Ken believed that deep down. He had been so certain that their communications with him were genuine, so why would one be real but not the other? If Lucas was real, then what did that mean about 2109? His head felt like it was going to explode, trying to make sense of it all.
I'm going to explode trying to understand it all.
Are you with me, though? Do you know what's happening?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of.
Then, on April the 30th, they received what seemed to be Lucas's final message in Latin. Not to go forwards is to go back to the moment of death. God be with you, Lucas. And with that, Lucas was gone. At the beginning of May, the strange poltergeist activity at the cottage escalated again. This time, something even more unsettling happened. A message appeared, written in chalk on the kitchen floor. It was in Latin, written in cursive, and read, Peter, you ask too much. Furthermore, Lucas went to his death. He brought death upon himself. The gods will root you out. Another threat, another warning. Ken and Debbie could only assume it had come from Lucas's mysterious friend, whoever or whatever that entity was. They clearly still had a grudge.
So Lucas has self-exited then, is what he was saying. Or that he just brought death upon himself.
Not sure, actually. I don't know if he means brought death upon himself by using the light box, or if he'd killed himself. I'm not sure quite what it meant. The poltergeist activity had never really stopped, but now it seemed to have a more focused menace to it. Determined to get some answers, they brought the computer back into the cottage and tried to get 2109 to respond. Ken typed out his most pressing questions. Should he be worried about the activity and the threats? The response didn't come until May 10th. When it did, it wasn't exactly helpful. It said, your questions will be answered. That was it.
Okay.
Then over the next few days, they received more cryptic responses, but none of them made any sense. One said, not enough power. The other said, go to sleep. Another one said, alone.
Oh, they sound really sad.
Yeah.
Sounds like that robot that shut itself down on Mars.
Oh.
The sun is going down and my battery's low.
Oh, that's really
It's
sad.
so sad. Wally.
Ken and Debbie were at their wits' end. What did any of this mean? Was 2109 trying to communicate something important, or were they just toying with them?
We'll never know, really, will we?
Well, fuck knows.
No, but like, literally.
Well, I suppose.
2109.
Yeah.
135. Yeah, I'll be dead.
We'd have to be 119.
Oh, we'll all be very dead.
Look at me trying to work out maths. Oh.
So meanwhile, they've still got the Society for Psychical Research on the case, and they get back in touch, and they say they're sending out an investigator to look into everything. He's called John Bucknall, and I can't cope because everybody's called John, and it's very confusing. So, another John.
He could be called JB.
JB. And the most frustrating part? Now that Lucas was gone, it's now that the investigators decide they're going to show up. So that's annoying.
Typical.
Still, the case was far from over. There was still 2109, however cryptic they were, and of course the poltergeist activity, which was only getting worse. On the 15th of May, Debbie dropped Ken off at work before heading back to the cottage to feed the cats. The two of them had spent the night at East Green. Do you remember they'd bought an apartment, so they could just get away from the ghosts?
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Oh, we don't want to stay in this house. We'll just buy another apartment.
Yeah, so we can go back.
Couldn't do that now, in this economy.
No. They'd spent the night at East Green, hoping to finally get some much-needed, paranormal-free sleep. But as Debbie approached the house, she immediately sensed that something was off. The cats, who usually ran to greet her, were just sitting on a wall, watching her in complete silence. Their behaviour sent a chill down her spine. When she reached to the front door and stepped inside, she was met with a horrific sight. A 6-foot-tall pile of furniture had been stacked in the living room, blocking the doorway to the kitchen. Everything they owned had been piled up against it, as if something wanted to completely seal it off. So it's all like literally sofas, tables, chairs, everything. It's just been piled up. Debbie slammed the door shut and ran around to the back of the house, hoping for a clearer way in. But when she looked through the kitchen window, she saw the same thing. Absolute chaos. Every object in the room that could have been moved had been displaced or stacked in some unnatural way. Her first thought was that she needed help. Immediately. She called Ken's school and got through to an SPR investigator, urging them to come over straight away. When they arrived, they took photos of everything, documenting the bizarre scene, but despite the evidence, the entire event was dismissed as a break-in, even though there were no signs of a forced entry, there was no evidence of intruders, and most frustratingly, there was no way Ken and Debbie could have done this themselves without being caught or heard by the neighbour. Moving furniture's loud, right? Especially if you're
and piling it up so well.
Exactly. It was another dead end, another infuriating attempt to explain away something that had no logical explanation. Meanwhile, the messages from 2109 continued, but they were as cryptic as ever. They read more like riddles than actual answers. And worst of all, they had a condescending tone, as if 2109 knew something Ken and Debbie didn't, but refused to say it outright. They're like really snarky. I don't know how to... Like when they're talking to Ken and Debbie, it's almost like they're like, oh, well, we'd give you that answer, but you're just far too stupid. You wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
So they're just, just not very nice.
Yeah.
The case wasn't just paranormal anymore. It was becoming a mental game. And Ken and Debbie were getting tired of playing. They were still getting messages from Lucas's friend, and now, bizarrely enough, the sheriff himself. Ken thought how hypocritical it was for him to have had Lucas put to death, only now for him himself to be using the light box. The sheriff told them that Lucas's real name was Thomas, and a little bell went off in Ken's mind. A while ago, when they'd been researching Lucas, trying to find his trace, the librarian had spoke of a Thomas Hawarden, who fits Lucas's description. If his name really was Thomas, then now they had a historical record of his existence. The SPR came out one day to set up a load of equipment to see if they could record any paranormal sounds or activity in the cottage. Ken was put out by this as both investigators, Dave and John, treated the couple and Peter like prime suspects. Even though logically they were, he had hoped that the investigators would investigate from his point of view and not be trying to catch them in the act. Do you understand? So he's got them involved, and even though they're doing their job, because they have to prove things kind of in a scientific way, so of course they have to eliminate any doubts that it's
trickery,
yeah, but Ken's getting a bit like, oh, this sucks kind of thing. He always feels like he's being accused.
Well, it's hard to believe something like this until you've got according to them, they've got proof, but it's just hard to make people believe it.
Exactly. At the minute, they haven't seen anything apart from a stack of furniture.
Mm.
Of course, the word processor stayed quiet that day, and no new messages came through. Fucking typical. So Ken's frustrated, but the investigators reassured him and said they would be back in a few weeks to try again. They did, this time sealing the house with tape and setting traps to catch an intruder. They all went to the pub for a few hours to wait. Upon their return, sadly, no new messages had appeared. The sheriff was still communicating with Peter and Ken, but he had no time for Debbie because he couldn't understand her. Peter and Ken had become quite good at using Middle English, but Debbie hadn't. In between these messages, one from Lucas's friend appeared, asking them not to speak too much with the sheriff because he was keeping Lucas alive in a dungeon just to keep the light box working. I mean, this is a fucking roller coaster, right?
There's so much going on.
So now Lucas is not dead.
It's just going forwards and backwards and like, ta-da! You thought I was dead, but I'm not. I just went on holiday.
Because apparently, if he died, then the communications would no longer be possible.
That makes sense.
Lucas is the reason the light box is working, apparently.
Good old Lucas.
This message was basically telling them to tread carefully because if ever they appeared to be too evil or demonic, in the sheriff's eyes, then he would no longer wish to communicate, and Lucas or Thomas, as we now know, Lucas or Thomas, would be put to death. To me, it seems like all three friends played a dangerous game with the sheriff and told him that they now knew that Lucas was alive and asked why he was lying to them. Luckily, it ended well for them, as quite promptly, Lucas was released and they received a message from him saying how happy he was to be home and speaking with his friends again. However, he needed a lot of rest and would write to them soon.
Oh, yeah.
That's
super cash.
End of part 3.
Yeah. I've had a busy day. It's been a lot.
I've been in a dungeon.
Ooh. Just need to process it all. But I will catch up with you soon.
So everything's mental. They're dealing with weird chalk on the floor, their furniture getting all piled up and thrown about, messages from the 1500s, panicking that their mate's been put to death for witchcraft, the sheriff's getting involved talking to them. There's this random 2109 from the future talking to them about a load of bollocks and not really saying anything and being super snarky. I mean, what the fuck's going on?
Who knows? This better be fucking true.
It's true.
Is this one of your long-winded jokes?
Absolutely.
Is this
the
boobies
longest
all over
winded?
again? Boobies part 5?
No, it is. It's a book written by Ken himself about the vertical plane.
How's reading that going?
Oh, it's hardcore. It's so difficult. Because even Ken said the way he's written, he's not an author, he's not a writer. The way he's written it is the way in his head that it happened.
Yeah.
But it is so hard to follow. It's so hard to follow. And I thought, oh God, this is an amazing story that hasn't been covered that much. Well, I know now.
Yeah.
I know now. I know why. Fuck me. Anyway, are you enjoying it?
I just need to know what happens next.
Yeah. I'm just so surprised. Like, Luke's like, I'm dead. I'm awake again. I'm dead. That's just like, we just don't know what he's doing.
What's he going to say next?
And there's so many characters. They've got his shitty friend threatening with them, going, I'll kill you by my own.
Make this into a film.
I reckon he's just his roommate that gets a bit leery when he's had a bit of a drink and he's just like, kill ya.
I'll have ya.
I'll have ya. I'll beat you all up. I'm hard.
Right.
That's
Shall
what
we
he'd
go?
say. Yeah.
Let's go. So, if you would like any podcast stickers or other podcasty stuff, I do have an Etsy shop called The Curious Craft Room. I will link it in the description of our episode. There's not tons on there at the minute, but if you follow the shop, it helps me loads, and I do add things pretty regularly.
Also, if there's something we've said that you think would make a great sticker, let Emma know.
Yeah, because actually, one of the people that bought stickers has got in touch wanting a personalised sticker. I can absolutely do that. So,
Great.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
send those in.
So, yeah, just message me and we can sort it. Also, if you do buy anything and you're happy with it, only if you're happy with it, obviously, could you leave me a review on Etsy? Because it would really help push my little shop up in the old algorithm.
Ugh, we love that algorithm. Nobody understands it.
No.
Once you've done all of that, you also need to follow us, subscribe to our podcast, share it with your friends, talk about it with your friends, talk about the stickers, just talk about anything that is to do with us.
Yeah.
Make us your world.
And don't hesitate to join the Facebook page, because that's where we do most of our
communicating.
We do.
If you're still enjoying us, join us next week.
For the final part, I promise it's the final part.
We've got to find out what's going on, because who knows?
It's all up in the air.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the meantime, guys, stay safe.
Don't kill people.
Don't do it.
And keep it weird.
Goodbye. Adios, amigos.
What am I doing?
Anything for love.
But I won't do that. Anal.
Never anal.
Only for birthdays. But their real reward. Oh God. But their real. God.
Becky, are you picking your toes?
No, I've got a toenail that's coming off, so I need to get
So,
it off.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell?
Yeah, I can.
Hold on. I need to get it off. I'm listening.